This is a snippet of a conversation I had with a pro-abort. To give a brief background, I presented an analogy to the weakness of the bodily autonomy argument. It was based on an argument given by Johannes Ratz. The link to his video on this argument is in the description. I'll just coin it as the airplane argument. I gave Ratz's airplane argument, but with some minor variations. I'll put it this way. Imagine you're the pilot of an airplane you own. You're having a party on your plane, and you are currently the pilot of it. You have someone else take over and exit the cockpit. You take account of the guests on the plane and come to find out there's someone on the plane that you didn't invite. This example is meant to be an analogy to the bodily autonomy argument. The plane represents your property, and an uninvited guest represents the unborn. You'll get the gist of where this is going once you listen to the video. So, with that said, let's get into the video now.
And that's the thing, man. Like I said, for the plane example, you can't sit up there. You may not like the fact that this person was an uninvited guest on your plane and you didn't choose them to be there or anything like that, but you don't have a right to kill them. Now, what you can do is take a plane to a nearest location and then say, you got to get off my plane right now. And there would be nothing they could do about it. But you have a right to like just throw them off the plane and like kill them? No, you don't. You can't exercise, property over your plane and say just because you didn't choose for them to be there that you get to kill them. You can't do that.
Well, the difference is that you and your plane are two separate things that you're not, you're not really attached to. A woman and the bod and the embryo, baby, whatever stage it's at inside her, are intimately connected. It's not quite the same thing. And it's very easy to say that the woman can just give up the baby and be on her merry way. Again, it's not as simple as that because she would have carried the child and there would have been some form of bond there. So either you force her to keep the child, which will be potentially less than ideal, or you're forcing her to undergo having to give up a child, which is not an easy thing to do.
So if it's about wait.
Like,
go ahead, Black.
What bond are you talking about? You're talking about like an emotional bond or physical bond?
Both.
Oh, then she wants the baby, that she can just keep the baby. That's it.
And here's the thing: if it's about being like physically attached, then what do you say in late-term pregnancy where they still physically attached? What do you say? And when the newborn baby is delivered, but the newborn baby is still attached to her umbilical cord. Does she have the right to kill the child because the child is physically attached to
her? What do you mean? Does she have the right to terminate the birth or something after the birth?
Does she have the right to kill the child because the child is physically attached to her? Because if you're going to go, well, it's not the same thing because they're physically attached. Well, what about like if you look at the third trimester, like 30 weeks in the third trimester, the child is physically attached to her. Does she have a right to kill the child because the child is physically attached to her? If she delivers the child and the child is still attached to her via the umbilical cord, does she have a right to kill the child?
I believe that abortion should be available up until birth. I don't want that to happen. I mean, if a woman was to have an abortion the day before she was to give birth, I would find that extremely sad. I wouldn't think that was a good situation. I think it would be awful. But I would still say she has the right to do that.
Notice the outright insanity of this thinking. Mind you, it's my position it's equally evil to deliberately kill the unborn, no matter what gestational states of pregnancy a woman is in. But many, if not a vast majority of pro-aborts would at least recognize late-term abortions should not be legal late-term, unless the mother's life is in danger. But it gets worse from here.
If it was after she'd given birth and you're talking about a child that's still connected to it, well, I don't think that really applies because the umbilical cord is cut pretty much straight away. So
no.
Sure what you mean there.
I mean, you can cut the umbilical cord right away, but before it's cut, the child is still attached to her. So by your logic, she can have that child killed.
No, I wouldn't support that.
Because in most countries, you're immediately given right
But you're kind of moving the goalposts here. If we're not talking about what the country's laws are, we're talking about the argument itself of if this entity is attached to you, you get to decide whether that entity lives or dies.
Well, I think you're being a bit. I think you're exaggerating a bit to sit there and.
No, that was the argument you gave.
No. I think to argue from a position of, while the baby is still yet connected to the umbilical cord, that it would be okay for the mother to somehow reach out and strangle the child or something.
You're the one who talk about if the person. You're the one who talk about if the person is attached to you. That's what you said, not me.
Well, it's inside the woman, isn't it? Before birth, the baby is intimately connected to the woman because it's inside her. It's inside her body.
If the baby is attached to her inside her body as opposed to attached to her outside the body, then it's magically different.
I don't really see it with difference. What's the difference, man?
Well, I think at that point, when the baby has been born, I think there is a difference. I mean, it might not make sense, it might not seem logical, but that's my position.
No, it doesn't seem logical because it isn't logical. You're talking about.
I'm sorry,
it goes. It goes through the birth canal. It goes through the magical birth canal, and the baby is still attached to her body technically, but because the baby magically went through the birth canal, there's rights there. Although the attachment is still there. Come on, man.
We gotta let him finish, Antonio.
Yeah, I think you're kind of you're putting forward a very, very, very extreme example to try and sort of it's a bit of a gotcha that you're trying to play here. It's a bit of a trap that you're trying to walk me into, and I'm trying to be honest with you and saying look, I don't take pleasure in abortion, and if a woman was to have an abortion late into her pregnancy.
I'm trying to use logic, he says, as if I'm not supposed to use logic. This is so good. You can see how utterly desperate he sounds and how obviously incoherent his position is. All right, let's continue on, my friends.
I would not, I wouldn't get up.
And not only that, I mean, seriously, what if that child testifies of how he felt? I mean, that child's being ripped apart and being sucked in the womb. I mean, imagine how that would feel.
Yeah, man, and I gotta press you some more on this, man. You talk about I'm trying to trap you. No, that's the logical conclusion. You said it's a different case if the child is directly attached to you. That's the logical conclusion of your reasoning, dude. I'm not trapping you. That's the logical conclusion.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That you're using logic to try and do a bit of a gotcha when life is just not as cut and dried as that. Sometimes these logical positions don't bear out in real life. I'm sorry. If I seem inconsistent, then I'm happy to live with that.
So it's okay for you to argue your position and be inconsistent with it. That's what you're telling me?
I didn't say it was okay. I said it's just how we are.
Okay, this is
how I am. Let's put it that way. Maybe you're a better man than I. I think that's fine.
It's an untenable position. If you're gonna admit to that inconsistency, then you can't say that the airplane example, in essence, is no different than the pregnancy situation.
Well, I can, and I explained why. I said that it's not the same because an airplane is a machine made out of metal and all the rest of it. And the pilot or the owner of the plane is a person that's not attached to that plane. At best, he might think, I like this plane, so I spent millions and billions of dollars on it. The person bearing a child in her body, that's a very profound connection, and I don't think the two are comparable.
You say they aren't the same at the behest of you being inconsistent.
Well, don't dismiss everything.
Inconsistent.
Wait. Let me see this. Can I say this?
Yeah.
Okay. We all know that. In your example, the plane is the property of the guy you were talking about, right?
Sure.
Would you consider that same thing for the baby inside the woman's womb?
I don't know, because property is a funny old thing. It's bodily autonomy would, I suppose, grant her the right to decide what she does with her body and the child within it. So I suppose so. Go on.
No, that's it. That's just what I wanted to ask. That's it.
Okay. Well, I suppose I do, but property implies a non-living, an inanimate object like a plane. I don't think you can really make a comparison.
What was that?
I said I don't think you can make a comparison, as I say, because a plane is a material object and a child living inside its mother is not.
You see how he's stumbling all over himself and contradicting himself? Now, he first agreed that one could say the unborn is like property, then he claims because the unborn is alive and not some non living object like an airplane, the comparison cannot really be made between those two. But sadly, my friends, this is not even the worst it gets. I saved the best for last for you guys.
No,
Living.
but if this argument is going to be about property, does that person not have a right to their property and who's in the plane? Do they? Or yes or no?
Sure.
Okay, then how come you can't say that that person shouldn't be able to have that person that they didn't invite on that plane tossed out the plane? It's their property.
I didn't say they couldn't. I wasn't commenting on that particular example. If you
Well,
own a plane and you want to kick someone off it, go right ahead. I'm not, I don't have a problem with that.
Well, if you're saying that they can do that, then how are you going to say that the situations are not the same?
Because the situations aren't. As I say, the child and its mother are a biological symbiotic pair, whereas a plane is distinct from its owner. It's a machine that is not directly connected to the owner. It's not living inside the belly of the pilot, is it?
But you agree that if you don't invite somebody on your plane and you find out that this person was there for whatever reason and you don't want them on your plane, and you can toss them off immediately, whether they live or die is of no consequence. You agree that you can do that, right?
Yes, but it's a different situation.
So, okay, so you are really going down a very, very messed up slippery slope here.
And this, my friends, is the absolute absurdity of pro-abort thinking. This guy went so far as to say that even outright tossing someone off a plane you own can be done, yet somehow that doesn't compare to the pregnancy situation and abortion. Not only is this stupid, but even worse is the fact that his position is so extreme, he outright admitted to the horrific slippery slope his argument leads to. So now, we simply don't have the justification of killing unborn babies. We even so much as have the justification of throwing people off planes now. The bottom line is, my friends, is that abortion is evil. And when you have people like this guy contradicting himself, admitting to absurdities in his thinking, and even outright justifying throwing people off planes, you begin to understand how sick the logic is these people use. When you will go to the deepest lengths to justify evil like abortion, this is how utterly stupid and horrible you will sound. And that's it, my friends. As always, thanks for watching. Like, or even dislike, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, take care. God bless and peace.